Hey everyone, it's been another month and it's time for another update. We're going to start with obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, which I believe will be the biggest catalyst in the coming few months. And of course, we're going to go over some of the position changes, trades, and in general, what I'm looking at right now and what I discussed earlier this week and last week concerning some charts that I was looking at. But let's not waste time and just jump into some TA. Bitcoin, we closed the month pretty much at a chop fest. So even on the monthly, you can see that with a massive rally that we had after the ETF, obviously we had just one red month. And when we zoom out, and I always recommend people doing this, when you zoom out, you clearly see that we are in a massive uptrend and we are defending the highs here. We're pretty much at all-time high and previous cycle all-time high also. So, things are looking good. Obviously, everything in between. So if we just jump into the weekly chart, you can see there's been a lot of chop. There was about a month and a half of downwards action. A lot of people got very bearish, but the support of 60K held. And right now we're actually nearer to the resistance of the same range. And we had a rejection actually last week. You can see this clearly after we faked out here and we came back into the range. This is very classical TA. You don't even need to learn that much, but you have a clear range. Zoom it in a bit. You have a clean range. And if we even jump to the daily, we have a clean range. We broke below it. We didn't on the retest, because this is usually what happens. On the retest, you confirm if this is going to break down completely. But we actually had some strong price action even as we were breaking down. We closed back above it with a massive green candle. We spent only like day and a half, 2 days and a half under this level of 60K. And obviously the 100-day moving average was catching up here, so played a bit of a role, I guess. And then we came back into the range. We retested it as support again, and then we rallied back to the top of the range. Very, very classic TA. And now we're rejecting, and actually we're back at the mid-range of this price action here, of this range. So it's very important, in my opinion, to hold this level. In the previous update, I mentioned, even if we go down to somewhere around here, so anything between 65 and 66K, I would say, is relatively good support because there's some confluence. Obviously, it's the mid-range of this range. And also, we have the 100 days moving average again catching up here. And we have some clusters here of price action that could play additional support. And I believe it's important to stay above this area for the market to still be bullish, because we've been for quite a while now in this range, and we are definitely going to see a move either outside or to the upside or to the downside. We don't know, obviously. But if we want to see an expansion to the upside and potentially go to higher targets like 80K, 100K for this cycle, I think we need to hold this level. This could take a while. Again, we could still chop for months here. Generally speaking, the summer hasn't been great when it comes to price action. Everybody goes on vacation and kind of forget about the markets. I believe we could still chop for quite a while, but the fact of the matter is that the longer we chop, the more aggressive the move will be after that. And it has always been this way. And I believe a lot of people will be very, very scared if we retest against 60K. And me personally, I would say 60K now is my line in the sand. So I'll probably be closing a lot of exposure here if we start breaking up, or if I see some weakness here in this area, because this level has been tested quite for some time. And if we get there, this means we'll be again under the moving average here. And if I just enable the 200, let's see where it is. It's far down at 52K. And on the weekly, let me just, the moving averages are way down here on the weekly. So these are not catching up anytime soon. But on the daily, I think if we start breaking down and showing weakness at 60K, we will definitely break out. I wouldn't, put my name against it because it's the markets. Nothing is 100% for sure. But I believe if we get another leg down to 60K, quite likely it will break. And the same holds for 70K. If we get somewhere close to this level, or we kind of make this into, because even within the range, you can see here, we made kind of a lower low, then a lower high, and now we broke structure again. So this is pretty much how chop looks like. But if we hold this as a higher low here and potentially go for another leg to test 70K, I think the likelihood of this breaking is also very significant. So whatever happens here, just chill. Don't overthink it. Don't overstress it, because I think this is the biggest mistake that people make on the markets. They get bored because we are obviously degenerate apes and we've used to crypto moving super fast. Well, not always. And after the massive move that we had after the ETF, obviously this is, I think, in my opinion, great. But a lot of people lost some money here. It's been hard this year. So this chop started March, but if you missed like the last part of the move, you've been chopping for quite a while already. Myself too. We're going to talk about the positions. I've lost some money. Generally speaking, my portfolio is up, even compared to last year. But it's definitely not a pleasant experience. We're going to talk about some of the trades. So this is Bitcoin. Obviously, if we go above 70K, I think we'll see a lot more bullish price action across the board. And this time it won't be more and only Bitcoin driven like it was with ETF, because now we have Ethereum ETFs on the horizon. And that will be very interesting for several reasons. So let's dive a little bit deeper. Let's first look at some levels here. So on the monthly, we have pretty much the same action, but at the lower kind of range for Ethereum. At some point, this was looking very bearish here at the lows of 3K, I would say. We never got a close below that. So we closed just above. The red candle here closed just above 3K. We wicked down, and then obviously we engulfed the entire red move. But this is pretty much chop, for 3 months in a row. This is pretty much chop. Now we're back at this range high. This range is a little bit messier. I wouldn't even call it a clean range. But you can see several levels that price has been respecting. And even after this pump now, I actually like to see this. We're consolidating here at this level at 3.8. And I think it makes for a decent trade. Because what we're expecting to happen is for the next week or two, the ETFs will start rolling out, which means they'll be open for trading, which means that we'll be able to track pretty much who's buying, who's selling, and how much of interest there is for ETH. But even at this level, you can justify a very clean trade for Ethereum with, in my opinion, very high probability of playing out because of the ETF. And it's not that expensive to try. It's just 4% risk. We have, I believe, a clear level here. Maybe in the days where the ETF start trading, we might see some fuckery around this level. But honestly, if you're just trading spot, anything below this level, if we start closing below this level, like 3.6, 3.7, I would consider this as failed trade in this case, for the bullish case. And obviously, the target, the first very target, should be previous all-time high, which is just below 5K. And that makes for like 5-to-1 rate risk to reward. So pretty decent trade in my opinion. What could happen? Obviously, we're gonna just speculate here, but what's going to happen when the ETFs trade? There are a few scenarios that I'm looking at right now, and obviously you need to base your trades and your risks and your size based on the probabilities here. I think it's much more difficult to make sense of the ETH ETF for several reasons. First of all, we already saw like massive pricing in here, like a 20% candle, even before it happened. And we already have the playbook from Bitcoin. So I'm not sure that we're going to see exactly the same price action of up only. First, because Ethereum is different. Not many people understand it, in my opinion. And we're talking about the broader investors here on the stock market, the boomer investors. I'm not quite sure they're going to be so in favor of Ethereum as a second choice. Obviously, when it comes to crypto, we're gonna see how this will play out. The second thing is that obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs will be kind of competing for the same capital. Yes, there are trillions of dollars that could be invested theoretically. So there will be plenty of money for both ETFs. I don't know how funds will decide to diversify. If they would say, okay, we want to have a bit more Bitcoin, a bit less Ethereum, but this means we're going to decrease our Bitcoin exposure and outflows of Bitcoin ETFs will increase while inflows of Ethereum ETFs will increase. And I don't know what this will lead to in the general price action also for Bitcoin. If it chops and Ethereum goes up, that's actually good. It might happen even for an out season. It might be the perfect catalyst, which I'm personally expecting. But we don't know, again, how this will play out. But it's a scenario that you should be considering. And then there's the third option, if we talk about the bearish scenario, that there might be a lot of selling because Grayscale ETF holds a lot of Ethereum already. And since obviously they have a lot of Ethereum that is very expensive to hold because of their fees there, they will probably see a lot of outflows of people. And there are a lot of people and traders that I personally even know that took the trade of the different price. So the net value, the net asset value of Ethereum holdings on Grayscale at some point was like 30%, same as Bitcoin, at a 30% discount. And people just bought the Grayscale ETH for this discount, and Ethereum was growing but also the gap was closing, and now with ETF it's pretty much close to zero. So these people will be taking profits, and I'm not sure they're going to be moving their assets to a different ETF pretty much on Ethereum side. So we could see quite a lot of outflows, and if there's not that much interest in buying Ethereum, it actually could mean that Ethereum could go down. So that would be also an interesting scenario. And of course, we can see something like what happened with Bitcoin. We can see a lot of outflows, but people just moving their assets into different cheaper options. And obviously, people really liking Ethereum because this is something that I've also seen on Twitter, that maybe boomers like it because it does something. Bitcoin doesn't do anything, while Ethereum does something, like it has smart contracts, blah blah blah. It's got staking, although the ETFs won't be staking. So it's going to be a very, very interesting dynamic. And no matter what happens, I still believe this is a good trade. I've mentioned before, I have a lot of ETH exposure already, but maybe I'll see how tomorrow opens and how this level holds. But even if we go a little bit lower on the time frames, you see that we're still holding this level. We're even making higher highs, higher lows here. Although it looks like consolidation, technically, on the 4-hour, this is a high, this is a low, then we have a higher high here, then we have a higher low here. So it's important for this to hold, and in general, this level to hold for the price action when the ETFs open to be, sustainable and bullish. With all of this said, talking a lot about Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I think it's important to give you the overview. I believe there are several trades to be had as Ethereum beta plays. One of it was Pepe. People pretty much front ran the whole ETH narrative, and this pumped, and it's at all-time highs. It pumped to all-time highs from, I believe it was somewhere around here. So quite a big pump. While everyone was screaming doom and gloom for meme coins, this made like almost 2x from the bottom here. I don't think the meme trade is done, but I personally don't find an edge right here. I should have just bought here. I should have followed my advice in this area right here. I was looking at Pepe. I knew the meme was strong, and it's a 10x from there already. So I'm not sure I want to be trading Pepe specifically on this leg. of Ethereum ETFs, but what I'm looking into are solid projects that people are aware of and are considered ETH beta plays. Obviously, one of them, not one of them, but like one group of them are layer twos. But I've pointed out a few trades potentially. I think it was early this week, and you can see like optimism. It just collapsed out of this level here, about $3. Just held resistance. What was the other? Arbitrum, same story. Looks a little bit better, but again, it's losing structure here on the lower time frames. And in general, the sentiment surrounding most of the L2s is not that great at this moment, including Manta, because I do own Manta. I bought it here. Didn't manage to sell it as support was breaking here, and it's kind of finding its bottom, and maybe it will start looking bullish. But in general, I'm obviously underwater on this trade. But in general, I don't find the sentiment for L2s as great as I would personally would like it to be. However, there's a second big narrative on Ethereum, and that is the liquid staking, restaking, and so on. And there's been a wave of new commerce in the space, and there's an OG project I would consider, not really an OG, but I mean it's been out for a while. Pendle, it's called. I did some research. I didn't buy this. I should have. I was looking at it somewhere around here, around dollar. Hasn't really stopped moving. This thing very very bullish price structure, and even after this dip you can see again just retested all-time high, and there could be a trade here, although the valuation of this is kind of starting to get high, but everybody in the space is respecting Pendo, and they're pretty much using Pendo one way or another to farm EOT. And I believe if this level holds here, this could be one of the good plays for Ethereum. Obviously, if Ethereum is bullish after the ETF. But another test here, maybe a nice cup and handle, if we keep it. So high, made an all-time high. Now we're correcting. We tested this level around $7. If somewhere around here we find the low and then we do this could be potential cup and handle that could break out with, quite a lot of, how I say, power. A few other plays that I'm looking into in the same narrative is Lido. Obviously, Lido is the biggest player in the space. If you look at this chart, it's from the very beginning of Lido. It just looks bullish. Compare this to Arbitrum, for example. Arbitrum looks like shit. I love Arbitrum. It's my favorite L2. I non-stop use it like super fast compared to most of the others. It's cheap. It has a lot of liquidity. Love it. However, look at this chart. I mean, come on. Respectively, Lido is the Arbitrum of the liquid staking platforms until obviously Eigenlayer launches. But this one is just looking good and broke out of this price structure here. It was looking a lot bearish, but now it just retested it and confirmed it for now as support. And it's consolidating here. So technically, I've mentioned this before as a trade. Again, 8% downside if this level starts to break. 15 if you want to be, a bit more loose. And then I think first targets around all-time high are like 60% up. So 3 to 4 to 1. 4 to 1, I would say, is the risk to reward here. It's a big market cap, but pretty much everybody knows Lido. And it's, higher beta play that it's not very high risk compared to, for example, ETH, which is it's turning into one of my favorite projects, honestly. And they did an airdrop. I have some air from the airdrop. I'm liquid staking with them. And now the price action is starting to look also very bullish. We had a very nice reaction here around $4. And I believe that if we come back and, just hang around this level, I could see me entering a position here with a stop somewhere around here. And, obviously targeting. This is the lower cap coins, like lower cap, it's like 500 mil or whatever. So just keep this in mind. But for me, these are the Ethereum plays for now that I'm watching very carefully. Obviously, there are others. There are a bunch of layer twos you can look into. Just go to L2Beat and you'll find a bunch of them. But these are the main ones as trades that I'm looking into as Ethereum ETFs start to trade. And let's talk some of the other position changes that I made. First of all, there was a really, really nice pump into STG, so Stargate Finance. I've been holding this forever, for more than a year. I've been staking it with Stargate. The main reason for it, there are two reasons actually. One of them is that this is the flagship layer 0 protocol. And I believe, and it turns out to be so, that people that staked STG and significant amount of STGs and voted are going to get good allocation at some point for the layer 0 airdrop. So additional allocation, 60% or so will be for like traders, like people that transacted, and I have a wallet with pretty much more than 100,000 in volume. And 20% will be for people that staked and voted STG, and 10% will be for liquidity providers. So I tick all the boxes on this, and my unlock was just happening, and I believe they already took a second snapshot early this month, so pretty much yesterday or today. That's my belief. And even if they didn't, that's fine. I mean, this was a pump that I couldn't resist selling into because it was, kind of gift from the gods. I couldn't find any significant news. And I made some money here. It's like probably like 30%. I still hold the position. I still have some locked because they expire at different time. But we'll see what happens, because the second reason I like this project is just because of valuation slash utility. This is the bridge that I use even if when I'm not farming. I like it. Simple, it's easy, and this token is, I mean, very undervalued. They have real yields. I've made some yields from just staking and voting and stuff like this. And the chart looks decent. This is at 200 million, I think, right now valuation. You look just a big accumulation to me, which potentially at some point might break out. So I'm not completely disregarding this token long term. That's one. Maybe something that I forgot to mention when it comes to liquid staking is Butterfly. My entry was somewhere around here, around $200. I'm looking to add to this a bit more. This is again, they launched a lot of products. One of the major ones nowadays is their liquid restaking, which plays into the narrative that I talked about a little bit earlier. And the chart looks good. So if it dips a little bit more, I'll probably add a bit more. But keep in mind, I have a big back already. I've been staking it. I've made 30% return just from staking it for a year already. So just, keep these things in mind. But I don't think this is a terrible play because it's relatively cheap. What else? One thing that I didn't alert, but I probably should mention, is that I bought some TIA around these levels, just below $10, but I bought it to farm Hyperlane. And I should probably do a separate video on farming because there's been a lot of developments there, and I'm having a discussion with myself on how to proceed, and that's why I didn't alert it. It was a farm, but turns out that it's price rally the next day like 10%. So I don't mind it. I might keep it. And honestly, I like T. I have exposure. I'm staking it. I think we'll get airdrops sooner rather than later because we pretty much had just one since I started staking it. And I might keep this position, for the long term, even if when I'm done farming, because it's not a huge one. It's more like half of the size of what I already have. But looking at the chart, this could also be a good play because you can see we had a massive leg to the upside. This tier was all the rage here. Then obviously everybody forgot about it and everybody got frustrated because there were no airdrops, and now we're going sideways. And I believe that this level here around $12, if we start breaking it, let's see how the weekly looks. Just horrendous. But yeah, I would say if we start breaking around this level, definitely it could shift the structure back to bullish. And especially if we get an announcement that we're going to get some airdrops, people will start buying. Goes, oh, airdrops, oh, TIA. But just as the tech of TIA, I know that I didn't read deeply, but I think they will be supporting ZK rollups or something. So I think this is a nice play for the long term, and obviously do what you will with this information. Another one that I sold out of half of my position was Ondo. I've been holding this for a while from the beginning. I was probably one of the first people that started talking about Ondo. Averaged in a bit higher. On average, I made 200%, so 3x on this. And I have a rule, at 200%, I should be selling something. This is also a key extension area for the FIPS people, but generally it felt like I need to take some off the table because on the lower time frames, on the 4 hour, it looked like it started to lose a bit of the structure. And I was hoping for something like this. So a leg up, a nice little lower high here, lower low, potentially another lower high. I sell into this and I buy somewhere around $1 here. It still might play out, but obviously it rallied in my face about 10%. Now it's a little bit correcting, but I'm okay. Whatever happens, I might add higher because I like this Ondo play in general. But even if I don't, this grew to be like my biggest outback at some point. So, I'm good with taking profit and even keeping the size that I have right now. So no regrets, although it didn't feel good when I saw this candle the next day after I saw 14%. Come on. But yeah, it's the life of a trader. It's fucking hard, tell you this, guys. It's fucking hard. Another one that I'm still in is trade. This is again a real world asset play, but it's not playing out the way I wanted to. I'm underwater on this position here that I added somewhere around 120 or something. I should have cut it around $1 when we start breaking, but I was like, fuck it. Ondo is running. I believe this will run. And now it's back at my original entry because if you remember, I bought somewhere around here on the wick. It had a massive run. I pretty much sold the top here, but I didn't sell enough because this also matched my 200% rule. So this was about 200% gain where I sold, and then I watched the rest of it go down pretty much to the same levels I bought. But yeah, I'm just holding for now. There will be a bounce because just look at this, how brutal it has been. And if we bounce here and we do nothing, I will probably close the trade and look to re-enter. But I like this one long term also. So I'm having to fight myself and stay disciplined, but I haven't been super disciplined on this one, I gotta admit. And what else? There's several others. I started DCAing into Jito. This probably will lose some steam because the narrative will be ETH and not so much Solana. That's why I just slowly wanted to DCA automatically. Now it's breaking down. I want to see if this level will hold. I might just cut it here at some small loss and reconsider if it goes lower. But again, this is one of the charts that looks very bullish. Just look at the structure and compare it to most other charts. It just looks good. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on this. And I need some AI exposure. In general, I don't have enough AI as much as I want. I'm playing with the thought of buying GPU. I need to do some research. This is called Note AI. GPU is the token. It's around 100 million in valuation. But I'll let you know, guys. I'll let you know because there's a lot of AI bullshit going on. I think there will be another massive leg up on AI, and I want to be positioned because I haven't been. I am positioned in a way with the shit coins, but not as much as I would ideally want to be positioned. Tau BitTensor is also in a correction now, potentially sideways. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep you updated. We won't have time today to cover ordinals, but I'll do a separate video. I've been buying runes. I've been telling you guys, and just sort by volume and just look at the top trades, top tokens. There are some that just came out and pumped, like this chunky Runecoin, Bitcoin, dollar, $1 billion cat. These are new. Shogun is new. And yeah, some of the others are DOG in the space, and I've been accumulating and I've been open about this, and I'll be letting you know what my strategy is with these going forward. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. And yeah, we're gonna talk in the future videos when I do them for airdrops and also for the Rune Mania. I'll see you in the next one.